Hey, I'm Dr. Groulx. I'm an Ottawa chiropractor and I'm going to share with you some non-surgical tips to help with your back pain. So Ottawa is filled with people who work at a desk all day long. And one of the things that happens, even if you're someone who would normally have a great posture, you spend so many hours seated at a desk, what starts to happen is your posture starts to collapse, your pelvis tilts forward, your head drops forward, and you're sitting at a computer for how many days, for how many hours a day, how many days a week, how many years at a time. And what that translates into is even when you're standing, it tends to create a posture where your shoulders are rolled forward, your head's forward, your pelvis has dropped forward, and that can tend to create this ugly looking tummy that doesn't actually exist, but it just looks like it does, and it's all about the posture. Beth actually has exceptionally good posture, but she's going to help us demonstrate. So go ahead and stand up. When you're sitting down, the first thing you need to stretch are something called your hip flexors, because when you sit down, your legs are up close like this, and there's a muscle that goes between your thigh and your spine. It gets shortened over time. So the first stretch we're going to do, so I'll have you just stand right over here, and you're going to turn face this way. The first one is to show you how to stretch out your hip flexor, and what we're going to do is something called just a simple lunge. So go ahead and drop down into a lunge. So that's your basic starting position, just like this, and I'll get into some of the mistakes that can happen. And now just drop down. So as you drop down in here, now she's dropped down really low because she's really actually quite flexible. The stretch you're going to feel is going to be all in through here. And you may find that as you're doing this, it's hard to balance. So you just use the table or a chair beside you, just like that. A couple of mistakes that can happen here I want you to watch out for. One is that your knee should never drop forward in front of your toes like this. You want to keep that back so that your knee is over your ankle. The other thing too is that when people are stretching, because I want you to hold this stretch for about 45 seconds, is there's a tendency to go ahead and rest on your leg like this. And although that seems appealing, what that does is it tends to round out the back and it actually leads to more back problems. Good, you can come up. And you'll notice that as you do this, it's actually not only is it a good stretch, but your opposite leg is going to really burn as well. The next stretch is actually to stretch out your glutes. So very simply, you can do this. You can actually do this laying down, but one of the simplest ways to do it is from a seated position. So you're going to take one leg and you're going to cross it over as though you would, casually sit on a chair. And then what you're going to do is you are going to bend forward. But very important how you do this is that you don't bend forward by rounding your back out like this. You want to bend forward by hinging at the hips. So you may not get very far until you start to feel that stretch. So go ahead. So before we bend forward, really the first step is to lengthen your thoracic spine. Lengthen your spine out like this. Lift up your rib cage. Keep your head straight. And just start to bring your chest down towards your leg. Now you may not get very far at all before you start to feel that stretch in the glute. And again, I want you to hold that for 30 to 45 seconds each time. You can remove this. Come up slowly, keeping your back straight. Your back should not even realize that you're bending forward. Your back shouldn't even realize that you're flexing forward because all the bend is happening at your hips. It's never doing this. Then you would turn around, do it to the other leg. The best time to do this is going to be after you're already warmed up. Generally speaking, it's not a good idea to do any kind of stretch on a cold muscle. You're asking for more injuries. Okay. This is a very simple exercise to tonify your glutes as well as your lower back, and this is called a bridge. So what you do is you start on your back, you bend your knees like this, keep them together, and what you'll do is you roll gently. First you're going to activate your glutes. You want to tighten them up, and then you want to raise your bum right up off the table. You see how it's nice and straight here? That's strengthening the glutes. It's also strengthening the lower back, and you can hold that for anywhere between 10 and 30 seconds. And you can do several repetitions of this, 10, 15 repetitions until you start to feel like your muscles have been activated. The last exercise I'm going to teach you is actually how to pull your shoulders back. If you're seated at a computer and your head is forward, and you get into your mind, you get in your head, you want to start pulling your head back, you can't just pull your head back because you've got this chronic shoulder forward. The first step in getting your head pulled back is actually to get your shoulders pulled back. Only then are you able to correct the posture in your upper spine. So we're going to do the YTW exercise. So the first exercise is to do the letter Y with your arms. So Beth is going to extend her arms, and what this is going to do is going to really pull, and you're going to pull your arms up off the floor. It's going to pull your shoulder blades together. That's the letter Y. Now we can move that down to a letter T, squeezing the shoulder blades together and lifting the arms up as high as you can without really, don't overextend it too much. And then pull down into a letter W. And when you pull the letter W, the arms come down. That's pulling the bottom of your shoulder blades together. Good, take a rest, okay? If you find it's too much of a challenge, you can do something called a Superman. So a Superman is when you're gonna lift just one arm. Actually, we can lift just one arm at a time. And then, so the left arm goes up, the right leg goes up. But what I don't want you to do is raise your leg so high that you're compressing your lower back. What I want you to do is just raise it up a little bit and then point your toe. So basically you're reaching for the wall in front of you and reaching for the wall behind you, and that's called a Superman. Now you are activating all of these muscles right up into the arm and then down into the leg. Now you can slowly alternate, put this arm down and do it to the other side. Awesome. All right, I hope you found that video helpful. Here's what I'd like you to do next. Share the video with people that you think might benefit, or tag them and so they can see the video and get the help that they need. The other thing you can do is if you have any questions, just put them in the comment sections and in the comment section below, and I will answer your questions. Have a great day, enjoy your week, and I'll talk to you soon.